I'm going to give you a word and try to come up with different formations using that word as the base or the root. This is going to be good for our followers to see this in practice. So the word is employ.
Employ. So employment, unemployment, employee, employer. Anything else on your mind, Thiago?
Unemployed.
Unemployed. Oh, yeah. Nice was unemployed.
Yeah, the opposite meaning. But you see, this is interesting because we have the verb employ. This is a verb, guys. It's an action. A boss employs people, and those people are that company's employees. The person who hires can also be called the employer. And if you don't have a job, you are unemployed. And then we can also talk about employment, which is the noun, the abstract concept of having jobs. I also love that word, employable.
Is there a word employable? Because another interesting thing with those prefixes, suffixes, is that when you learn most commonly used suffixes and prefixes, you can play with the word. And it wasn't the tip of my tongue to say employable, but then I had a doubt. Is there a word employable?
Yeah, somebody that is employable is a person who has, let's say, desirable skills that the market is looking for. So you are an employable person. It's easy for you to get a job.
Okay.
The opposite would be unemployable. You don't have interesting skills to offer, so you are unemployable. So it's important that we try to raise our level of employability.
That's true.
Well, Ksenia, today I'm super excited because we're going to be talking about a topic that I personally love discussing with my students, which is word formation. I think that word formation is a wonderful way for you to improve vocabulary. First of all, could you define to our followers here what word formation is?
Word formation is basically building or forming new words with the help of affixes. And we have two types of affixes. These are prefixes, the parts of the word which go before the root, and suffixes, the parts of the word that go at the end of the word. I may give you an example right away, like unacceptable. So to accept something, we add the suffix able, A-B-L-E, acceptable, and we can also add the prefix, so it becomes unacceptable. And that's a nice way to expand your vocabulary, right, Thiago?
It is, because what you're doing basically is you are picking the words you already know and you are just forming new words out of those words, like you mentioned. One thing also I find fascinating about word formation, Ksenia, is the pronunciation, especially of the suffixes, I think, because if you learn the pronunciation of the individual suffixes, that also helps you pronounce certain words. Just to give an example here, we have the suffix OUS. The suffix OUS sounds us. That's the sound, us. Okay, OUS, us. So every single word that ends with us has that sound. So dangerous, famous,
fabulous.
Right? Fabulous. There you go. I don't know in Ukrainian, but I know that Brazilian learners struggle with that ending, specifically because as a Brazilian, my tendency would be to say famous or fabulous, or dangerous. But you see, once you learn us, famous, fabulous, dangerous.
In Ukraine, I think the most common mistake with pronunciation of suffixes is the suffix able, able. Students tend to pronounce it like able, comfortable, something like that.
Which it kind of makes sense if you think about the word individually. Yeah, you are able to do something. One final example I can give about the pronunciation is the suffix ism. This is a tricky one as well. Ism is pronounced ism. Ism. So every word that has that ending sounds ism at the end. These are tricky words for some learners, like tourism, capitalism, socialism, communism,
criticism.
Yeah. So learning more about word formation, about prefixes and suffixes, the different words you can form out of a single word, learning the pronunciation of these, especially the suffixes, can help you improve your pronunciation, I would say tenfold, because it's a simple way to play with the words and use them in the sentences.
Exactly. I would just want to add a little bit about prefixes. I also had this funny story with prefixes that at some point, and maybe even today, it's difficult for me to differentiate between, especially with rarely used words, between the prefix im or in. Yeah, they're like two brothers, im and in, and the prefix un, because even with that word I mentioned earlier, unacceptable, it's sometimes difficult to remember, is it inacceptable or unacceptable? And the interesting thing I learned about those prefixes is that, English has many borrowed words. So most of the words that were borrowed from other languages, they logically came together with the prefixes, right? And in English itself, there was also a prefix, un, and then it borrowed some words with prefixes im or in that had the same meaning, something opposite or something like not. Yeah, the meaning of those prefixes is not. That's why we have this confusion sometimes, and that the many synonymous words with different prefixes. Unfortunately, there is no pattern or no rule that for certain words only certain prefixes work. Yeah. By the way, there are 4 variants of im. In im, I am, I an, and ir, il, like in the words illegal or irresponsible or immature.
Are you enjoying this lesson? Great. But did you know that this lesson is just a short clip from the whole lesson? If you want to access the entire lesson, make sure to download the RealLife English app. The full thing is there. But also, on the app, you can do many other great things. For example, for the week's episode, we give you a digital transcript so you can actually listen and read along every single word and expression that we use here on the podcast. Also, we give you a few flashcards per episode so that you can improve your vocabulary much faster. The app uses cutting-edge technology based on spaced repetition that helps you really memorize those words and expressions that you see us using here on the conversations on the podcast. And finally, with the app, you can also connect with another English learner anywhere in the world to have a short conversation in English. Isn't that awesome? So make sure you download it. The link is going to be here in the description of this video, also in the show notes, or you can simply go to your favorite app store, let's say Google Play Store, Apple App Store, search for RealLife English and download the app from there. As a matter of fact, we have a wonderful testimonial from one of our app users. Let's hear it.
We got 5 stars from Avaz and a beautiful message he left. Innovative, accurate, and simple, really productive app to learn English with real-life perspective. Thank you, team.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the wonderful testimonial, and your listeners and viewers, followers, do it just like this user and download the RealLife English app. I'm sure you will love it.
By the way, Thiago, I found this number. There are 134 prefixes in English language.
My goodness.
Yeah.
134?
134.
Wow. So, I guess we can recommend our learners here to take it easy, start small,
Yeah.
Maybe go with a couple first, master those, memorize those, and then you take it from there.
Yeah. You also talked about pronunciation. There is an interesting thing about spelling. Like I mentioned those prefixes, and if you notice, like on and in, they end with the letter N. But let's say a word starts with the letter N, like natural. Then the word unnatural will have double N. And that's a great, way to check your spelling. Like if you know the word and you know the prefix, you know that there will be double N in this word, right?
That is a great point. And that's another benefit of studying and learning word formation. It helps you spelling, especially longer words, because the English language is full of words with double letters. So having that knowledge will help you write the words more correctly, more times, more often. One example I can give about that, also to illustrate, is the word successfully, because sometimes we can have more than one suffix. In this case, we have success the noun, we add the suffix ful, it becomes the adjective, successful. Oh, he's a successful man. But the suffix ful has only one L, F-U-L. But if I add another suffix, the ly suffix, ly, to the word, now I have the adverb, successfully. Now successfully has double L. It's the L from ful with the L from ly. So that's another example, just like you gave with the prefix, right? Double M, double N.
Another great benefit of knowing word formation, do you know, Thiago? When you know those commonly used prefixes or suffixes, you can easier decipher a word, an unknown word, let's say, right? So for example, this prefix mis, it means that something was done wrong. So if you have a word communication and you come across the word miscommunication, so by knowing the prefix, you know the meaning of the word. So it was a mistake in your communication.
There you go. Yeah. Just like cashless. Less without. So cashless without cash or without money. This is a wonderful topic, and everybody out there, if you haven't been paying attention or if you've never learned about word formation, here you go. Word formation is the study of prefixes and suffixes in English. Make sure you master those because you will see how much your vocabulary will improve. Aw, yeah, global citizens. I just want to tell you, in case you don't know, that this lesson was taken from the Real Life English podcast. However, it was just a clip from the full episode. If you want to access the full lesson and learn even more with us, make sure you download the Real Life app. See you there!